I'm back. Got bored. Want to talk some birds. And I'm very nervous. This is about to be Asante Samuel going to Dallas because they needed a corner. And they took Micah Parsons at 13 over or 12 overall. This guy again being a loud, obnoxious nut. We'll talk Landon Dickerson. Eagles pick at 70 overall, still in the third round. See what this Dallas pick is. I'll tell you what, I hate day 2 and day 3. The big thing I hate about the draft is that Goodell's out of the podium and it takes like 5 minutes every time to make the pick when they get up there. Dallas is smiling. Those scums are like, we got Asante. Wow. Everybody hates Asante Samuel. Kentucky cornerback Kelvin Joseph just went to Dallas. I knew it was going to be a corner, but once again, was not the guy I thought it was going to be. People might be really concerned about that 5'10" size. I was for sure convinced Dallas was going to take Asante there. I was positive that was going to happen. I think people are reading way too much into his size. Kelvin Joseph is a good player, though. I think, honestly, of all the cornerback prospects in day 1 and day 2, he's talked about the least. Like, even Eric Stokes got more hype. I think him and Aaron Robinson, but Robinson is a slot-dependent player, whereas Joseph played primarily on the outside of Kentucky. What up, my man? Your Ravens got Rashad Bateman. Finally giving Lamar Jackson some love. Now they got Bateman. They've got Hollywood Brown. They've got Mark Andrews. And they've got Sammy Watkins. Lamar's my guy, man. I was kind of hoping you guys weren't – I thought all that dumb national media stuff, I was like, I don't think it's true. Maybe dumb, but I hope it's true that they would go with another quarterback. Trade the Eagles Lamar Jackson. The Eagles could have – now when you think about it, I'm getting into a whole rabbit hole here, but thinking about Lamar now with Kevin Locked On, Ravens host Kevin Ostreicher joining. Wait, let me see this Jaguars pick.
2021 NFL Draft.
They already took a corner, right? Yeah, Tyson Campbell.
Walker Little. Tackle.
Boring. The Ravens and Eagles. I mean, it wasn't going to happen at the time because you just won a Super Bowl and Wentz was MVP, or should have been. But they traded out a pick that was Lamar Jackson. All right. Wow, Asante continues to plummet. I wonder if a trade-up could be possible. The Eagles still don't pick for another 25 spots, but would a team – I don't know, the Chargers just lost Hunter Henry. The Chargers at 47. Would they do Zach Ertz at 70 for 47 and you go get your corner? I know the Eagles preach a long-term rebuild right now, and I do think that these picks are showing that they're in on long-term. And so they don't feel like probably they need to fill every hole right away. But corner is just – and I know you have Darius Slay, but after that, you have nothing. And look at how good this division is. At receiver, Dallas has CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, and Michael Gallup. Washington has Curtis Samuel and Terry McLaurin. New York has Kenny Golladay, not Devontae Smith, but they have Kadarius Toney. They have Darius Slayton. They have Sterling Shepard, Evan Ingram. These teams got running backs, right? Saquon Barkley, Antonio Gibson, Ezekiel Elliott. Notice how I put Zeke third there of all the running backs? That was on purpose. So I just wonder, it's like, what are you doing after Slay? It's a long-term need. And, yeah, you have 3 first-round picks next year, but what if you want to go use those picks to go get a quarterback? Again, this doesn't mean that because of my infatuation with corner, This doesn't mean that I'm like, I hate the Landon Dickerson pick. It wasn't a top 5 option for me. It wasn't the flashy pick, and I like the flashy, sexy pick because I'm a fanboy still. It's what I mean. The journalist in me likes the story, but it was I'm a big sides guy when it comes to like barbecue. I like the ribs are like, you need the ribs, you need the chicken, right? You have to have it or else it's not barbecue. But I'm more excited when I look at the menu. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna order some potato salad, maybe some macaroni and cheese. And so that's the stuff I like. But that doesn't – you need the meat and potatoes, right? And that's what Landon Dickerson is. Your offensive line could still be okay short-term and long-term, but we know it's only a matter of time. Whereas like Brooks and Lane Johnson could still play for a long time. But Jason Kelce, it's a year-by-year thing. You can't just be held prisoner to 62 every year at center. And so Dickerson was – if you were going to take a lineman – there's a lot of potential holes. Left tackle could be one. Guard spots could be. But if you're gonna need something, it's going to be a center within the next 1 or 2 years. So it was a necessary pick, and Dickerson is a solid player from Alabama. And as Gino said, you go back-to-back SEC, Bama players. So much for them not taking Bama guys. Bengals are going offensive line. You guys are all clearly ahead of me. You rats spoiled the Dickerson pick for me, but that's okay. It happened 2 years in a row in the second round. Jalen Hurts was the pick too. Oh, what a personable guy. Roger Goodell holding that kid's hand. What a good guy. I agree. O-line depth, always a good thing. It's not the fun pick. It's not the exciting one. And in comparison, there were way more fun picks that you need too, but you can never complain about the line. Ever. Yeah, and the run on offensive linemen are going right now too. You know what's interesting? I mentioned how, like offensive line, there's a lot of – you might be okay still long term. If Mailata or Dillard are the guy at left tackle, if Lane Johnson and Brooks finally stay healthy, you're good for a long time, outside of maybe center. But you could still justify taking any of the other spots too, because Mailata or Dillard aren't guaranteed. We have no idea what they are yet. But it is telling – it's a true testament to those guys and the organization's belief that at least one of those two will pan out at tackle. And Lane Johnson as well, the right side still being a foundation piece. The fact that they took a center instead of a tackle or a guard hybrid, they went with a guy that played center. So that is telling that the spot they're concerned about is center more than any, as it should be. But it is they didn't take a guy that's, like Rashawn Slater, you could say he could play any of the spots, right? They took a center. So that is a good positive for Dillard and Mailata. I think mostly Mailata. But Dillard too, guys, like I know there's a knock on Andre Dillard. There's this bad taste in people's mouth, especially because that Seattle game in 2019, right, where he played right tackle and he was a disaster. And you look at then there was reports that the team was concerned about his attitude and his mindset and if he was soft. And Philly fans, if they hear soft, it's like blood in the water for a shark. Like they're going to go at that. They do not like that kind of mentality, that kind of football player for sure. And so people are kind of out on Dillard, but I will say he's not going to be a right tackle. He at left tackle in 2019 wasn't elite. He wasn't incredible, but I was at the game when he started against Buffalo. I was watching the games when he started in the middle of the season against Minnesota, and I think Dallas was the other one, and against some good players. I thought he did hold his own. So I think Mailata is the favorite to be left tackle, but there is still hope for Andre Dillard. I mean, the Eagles are not going to, even with their reservations, you traded up for him just 2 drafts ago in the first round, and he hasn't done enough he's done enough to make you concerned, and the injury is a part of that. He missed a whole year that's a huge stunt in your development. But there is not nearly a big enough sample size for you to know what he is yet, And the NFL is not a very patient league, but this is kind of one of those moments where you got to preach patience, and the Eagles kind of have the luxury of being able to do that right now if they're really okay with not being a contender for a while. Are Dickerson's injuries a concern? They're always a concern, especially with Philadelphia. We're conditioned to be used to this kind of player being in and out of the lineup. But the good thing is, Tom, I don't think Dickerson he's not going to play right away. He's going to be good depth. And so you make sure he gets right in 2021. He develops behind Kelce with the best offensive line coach in football, I think, with Jeff Stoutland. And you hope he gets past that. for sure. Does Asante fall to the third? No, I doubt it. Doubt it. You have to get up to the Chargers could take him here. The Cardinals could take him at 49. You'd have to get up like quick, I think. But I keep saying that and other cornerbacks are going. But at this point, I think all the corners that could go ahead of him are gone. Unless people like Paulson and Debo better, or if Ifeatu Melifonwu from Syracuse. But I think it's the plummet of Asante is going to stop here in a minute. Caesar, it's not happening, man. Relax. It's not going to happen again. Not that I care, but my guy's already gone. First Smith, now Dickerson, both players with familiarity with Hurts. Yeah, absolutely. They're building around Jalen Hurts. But at the same, this is a true positive for Jalen. It does show their confidence in him right now that they passed on Justin Fields and that they're building around him with familiarity with familiar players from Alabama and at key positions too, that it takes a quarterback. It helps a quarterback develop when you're protected and when you have star weapons, right? And so that's all showing that they're trying to make this work with Hurts. But it doesn't mean that they're all in on Jalen being the guy. No matter who the quarterback is, they're trying to build that strong foundation around them so they're not dealing with what Carson Wentz had to for a very long time, very on and off with when his weapons were okay, his offensive line was hurt. When his offensive line was elite, he was throwing to Deontay Burnett. And so, yes, it's a positive for Jalen Hurts, and they're trying to set him up for success in 2021, but they're also trying to set it up for if Jalen's not the guy next year, and he shows you even with this strong support system that he can't be the guy, that the 2022 rookie or Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson, whoever the veteran is you trade for, they also don't have to come into an absolute shit show. Yep, there it is. Damn it. Asante Samuel just went to the Chargers. The dream is over. I love the Chargers secondary. My CB1 is headed to LA with the 47th pick, so the dream is dead. We can now move on, and you can probably relax and stop hearing me talk about him. But I think he's going to be a star. I don't think he's going to be a Hall of Famer like his dad, but man, he's got some fun traits. Pressman, corner, can play inside, outside, good ball skills, the click and close ability, the speed. Mr. Pick Six, I'll tell you what, he had some thump when he wanted to hit, but he didn't like to hit a lot. His kid, he loves to hit. That's the one difference, I think. I think his dad has way better ball skills, at least when it comes to instincts and stuff. But not that Junior is bad with that. He's got great route recognition and that, but Asante Samuel Sr. was the ball hawk. This kid likes to hit, even for somebody that's 5'10" and is 184, I think. Caesar, do you mean the secondaries? Because they're both very good. Chargers with Byron Jones and Xavier Howard. But yeah, back to I want to get back into what IG Bassius, I don't know. He was talking about, again, I mentioned today how it was interesting the media yesterday with Howie Roseman didn't ask him anything about Jalen Hurts and maybe ask them about passing on Justin Fields to see because every time they're asked about Jalen, all their actions show you that they're committed to building around him. But at the same time, every time they've had an opportunity to say something about him, they haven't really committed to him or talk about him like a team talks about their franchise guy or like this team talked about Carson Wentz. So I would have been interested to see them ask again about that and see what they say. They clearly are committed to him to a certain degree, but don't make these picks seem like they're just all in on Jalen and they're going to give him 2+ years. They're all in on doing better than they did last time with Carson. They're all in on, and they tried with Wentz. They just failed to execute. They took receivers in line and running back, but they failed at it. This time they're trying to do better by the next guy. And they hope it's Jalen, I'm sure, so they don't have to move those 3 first-round picks next year to get a guy, in the draft or through trades. But if it's not, they're still set up to where they have optionality. And again, Howie Roseman said, flexibility creates opportunity. And that's what they have at quarterback right now. And they're building around that spot, regardless of who it is, with offensive line, with the best receiver in college football last year in Devontae Smith. So, yeah, they're committed to rebuilding this offense over defense right now. And that's fine by me. I'm never going to complain if you're all in on offense. I was more nervous that you guys heard me yesterday say, I was more nervous this team was going to, this team is all about the passing game, right? Jeffrey Lurie's enamored with being a top-tier passing attack. I was nervous they were going to take such a step back with Jalen Hurts maybe being a Baltimore-like offense where you pass on a receiver and you don't take a corner. And so teams are passing all over you and then you can't pass on them, right? And you kind of go back to a 90s-like offense where you're running 30-plus times. But this draft does reinstill my faith in them being a forward-thinking offense philosophically by taking a receiver, by going with the offensive line. They're still all in on being that kind of team. And so that's an encouraging part today. I think there was more needs on defense on the second and third level, but I'll never complain about taking offense unless it's running back. Let's see what San Fran does here. Wow, a lot of offensive linemen. Aaron Banks, the guard from Notre Dame, just went off the board to San Fran at 48. Darren writes in, do they take 3 cornerbacks or more in this draft? Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, Darren, now is you don't take the quality of the top 2 rounds. So now you hope to go quantity and just hope, you throw more at the wall and hope one sticks. You're definitely going to double dip 3rd and 4th round, maybe target somebody like Stanford corner, Paulson and Debo, and then, a guy like that. And then who's another corner late down there that could interest them? I'm kind of drawing a blank right now reading this list here. But, yeah, I think you look at, again, you didn't go with the quality, so go for quantity. And not just because you hope, one pans out, but you don't just need one cornerback. You need 2, 3 plus. Your depth right now is you literally have a Darius Slay, you have Avonte Maddox, and then is it Michael Jacquet? I can't even say the dude's name right. And that's your 3rd corner? So, yeah, they're definitely going to take a bunch. But at the same time, like Howie Roseman said yesterday, this team is thinking long-term, and so they're seeing the draft class next year too and saying, we don't have to get our guy right away now. We can use next year's class. And you look at Jonathan Gannon, the defensive coordinator, has a track record of elevating personnel at corner, right, with his zone coverages, with his ability to develop talent. You can get guys in the later rounds and make them good players with Gannon. That's what a good coach does, and I think they're very confident in his abilities. So that's a factor in this as well. But they definitely need guys regardless of that. Regardless of waiting for 2022, regardless of Gannon, you need way better personnel than you have right now. Way better. Caesar, with all the injuries we have every year, quantity might be the way to go. Yeah, man, that's the point. Is you look at last year, look what happened after you cut Rasul Douglas and Sidney Jones, and after a bunch of guys went down, Avonte Maddox goes down, I think Darius Slay got hurt too at one point. You look at those final games against Arizona. Wasn't Michael Jacquet following DeAndre Hopkins? And then you had safeties having to move to corner. Like Jalen Mills had to go back to corner, and Kevon Wallace had to play spots there as well. It was a disaster because you didn't have depth anymore. You were going to be this positionless, and Cravon LeBlanc got hurt. You were going to be this positionless secondary, but really what that meant was you had no corners. All you had was safeties. Oh, and you cut Will Parks, who was supposed to be a hybrid. So, yeah, with the injuries too, they need top tier talent, but they need depth too at the spot bad. See what the Cardinals do here with this pick. I feel like this could be running back. Wow, that's fun. I love the Cardinals. They just don't care. They don't stop taking wide receivers ever. This is what this team does. No matter how many offensive line spots they need, it doesn't matter. Running back, nothing. They already have DeAndre Hopkins and Christian Kirk and AJ Green and Andy Isabella, and they spent picks on Isabella and Hakeem Butler. It doesn't matter. They're just going to keep going. Air raid, baby, forever. Rondale Moore. I love the Cardinals. They're going to win 9 games for the rest of the time. But guess what? They're going to score 40 points every game they do it. They're so fun. Really, I mean, Arizona's fun. I'm glad they're not my team, but they're a Sunday ticket team for sure. Like when you're talking about teams you want to watch that aren't the Eagles next year, I'm going to be tuning into a lot of – my family actually lives in Arizona. I'm going out there in a week. Can't wait. Great place, Phoenix. That's a Sunday ticket team for sure to tune into in the NFC. The NFC West in general is really fun. Arizona, San Francisco with Trey Lance, Ayuk, Kittle, and Debo. Seattle, obviously, always with Russell Wilson. LA with Matt Stafford and Van Jefferson and Deshaun Jackson. I'm not sure I mentioned those two over Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp, but, Cam Akers. That whole division is really fun. I guess in a way you could think about it like this with the Cardinals. Rondale Moore's 5'7". He played a lot of in the backfield at Purdue. Maybe they just don't plan on running the football ever, and they're going to use Rondale Moore in the backfield with A.J. Green, Christian Kirk, and DeAndre Hopkins in 11 personnel. No matter what, though, I do think this ends Larry Fitzgerald's time with the Cardinals, probably, right? Which is crazy. I had that dude's jersey in 3rd grade, so it just shows how long he's been playing. I love the Cardinals. Caesar, we need to get Murray in fantasy. Yeah, you do, for sure. I picked Arizona to be the 2 seed in the NFC last year, and I picked Kyler Murray to win MVP. No, I didn't. Sorry, Cam Newton I picked to win MVP. Don't tell anybody. But I thought Kyler was going to be a top 2 candidate. I think I was a year too early on them. This year, I think they're going to be legit. The fun teams that I think are going to surprise us here, Arizona, Chicago with Justin Fields. Yeah, I think that's only really the surprise teams in the NFC. Maybe Philly. I'm getting 2013 vibes with the Eagles right now. Secondary's bad. They're going to sign some sort of Bradley Fletcher, Kerry Williams type, but they might score a lot of points, and they're going to be in it in the 4th quarter, I think, of games with how weak your road schedule is. It's the weakest in the NFL. It's the easiest road schedule in the league this year, the Eagles have. And Jalen Hurts, say what you want about him, but he's clutch into the 4th quarter. He can win close games for you. I thought you saw that Arizona game. That showed me, and you saw it in college. If Philly won 10 games this year, I'm not going to bet on it. I think the over-under right now is 6.5, but I wouldn't be surprised. Chicago will be fun to watch. Justin Fields, Allen Robinson, Darnell Mooney. I don't know if Anthony Miller is going to get moved, but I love my boy David Montgomery. Won me a fantasy championship last year with like 100 points in the final 4 weeks. That's a fun team. And if Aaron Rodgers leaves the NFC North, Chicago is going to win the division. Who's going to win it? Kirk Cousins or Jared Goff? Get out of here. Ugh. Poor Minnesota and Detroit. Dan Campbell's jumping up and down yesterday for a tackle. God, I would hate to be them. Talk about the opposite of Arizona, Detroit. Arizona, Detroit, when it comes to like what you are as an offense, night and day. Jordan, I see that Dallas is going to move Kelvin Joseph to safety. He does give me safety vibes. That would make some sense. They do need corner help, though, outside of Trayvon Diggs. I really love the Cardinals pick of Rondale Moore. That's such an Arizona thing to do. I love Cliff Kingsbury, man. I don't think he's as good of an offensive mind as some thought he was going to be. But, man, he sticks with his philosophy for sure. All right, so what do we want? Oop, I think I lost you. No, we're back. What do we want, fans that are watching right now? At pick 70, like what's the next position? I think everything's on the board now. You could even go tackle at this point, but I think offensive line, you're done. You could double dip at receiver. Do you want a slot guy like Dwayne Eskridge? Terrace Marshall's still on the board, by the way. That's interesting. Not that we're going to take him, but I look at I don't know if there's going to be a safety worth it. Andre Cisco, though, of Syracuse, talk about the need for turnovers bad. That dude was an interception machine at Cuse. That could be a move. Linebacker, Jabril Cox still on the board. Did Koromoa go? Does anybody know? Oh, let's move this back. Darren wants corner or edge. Yeah, I think defensive line can make a lot of sense. There are some guys I really like in that 70 range with a lot of upside. Janaris Robinson, keep an eye on Florida State. Jordan Smith of UAB. One of my favorite interviews I've done. I interviewed him during his pro day. He was a lot of fun to talk to. Kane Doe from Florida State. Hamza Nazardine, the safety / box kid from Florida State. Would love that. Hamilcar Rashid Jr., the edge from Oregon State. There's some fun upside at 70. Maybe Ifeatu Melifonwu falls, the Cuse corner. I doubt it, though. Matt Miller tweeted why JOK is falling. The Joker is falling. So he is still on the board. Why, though? Caesar wants a DB. Yeah, it's probably got to be corner or safety. But I can see it being an edge, a high upside edge. Your new Josh Sweat, your new project. After you swung out with Sharif Miller a couple years ago. I think it's going to be defense, though, for sure now. I think you got the two big needs you needed on offense. Center and receiver. I thought quarterback, but so on defense now you need pretty much that's what you need now, defense. Azeez Ojulari finally goes off the board to New York. He fell to 50. I thought he was going to be a top 25 pick. Jordan, I'm lazy. Tell me why the Joker is falling. What did Matt Miller say? I should be a Cardinals fan. Yeah, they're fun. Ojulari had an injury, right? That's why he fell. Was one of the more efficient pass rushers in college football last year. Knee injury. With Joker or with Ojulari, right? Elijah Moden, the corner from Washington, still on the board. I don't know. I look at like who's going to be there at 70, that range. It's going to be a lot of good. I think there's going to be some strong linebackers, safeties, and edge rushers. I don't know what corner would be there. Maybe I really like Paulson Adebo, Stanford kid, had 4 interceptions in back-to-back years in 2018 and 2019. He seems like a Washington pick right here, though.
21 NFL draft. The Washington football team select Samuel Cosby.
Another lineman. You called it, Spencer. Well, you guys are not in delay like I am, though. I'm ahead of you, Caesar? That's the first person I'm ahead of. Oh, Caesar, my bad. I'll have it on mute then, my man. Am I spoiling picks? I was yelling at other people for spoiling. Here's my charger. We're going with a watermelon sour from Duclaw. I'm a big sour guy. I'm sure you guys all know that. Spencer, don't feel bad about spoiling picks, my dude. As long as it's not the Eagles pick, I don't care. The draft takes so long at this point that, like, in the first round is, like, super lame. When I was a kid, I used to hate when ESPN would show, like, I don't know why I remember so much, but, like, 2014, when Jacksonville was on the clock at 3. I had no idea which quarterback they were going to take. Johnny Manziel, Teddy Bridgewater, and then they showed Blake Bortles in the green room on the phone. I'm like, that sucks. Like, I don't want to see him on the phone and have the pick spoiled. Because there's a lot of fun when you're seeing Goodell with the pick and you're like, the suspense is awesome. But when it comes to the second and third round, it's just so tedious at this point, and there's so many picks that at this point it's like it doesn't matter. I'm excited about the 70th pick. I actually think there's going to be some good players there on defense. Stay tuned, too. We're going to be doing a reaction podcast tonight. It'll drop right after the Eagles make their 70th pick, or once they're done for the night. We'll record a show about the 2 picks. We'll make appearances with Fox 43, our Tegna station. A Locked On Now video, I think, already went out of me reacting to the Landon Dickerson pick. We're going to be live here, too. I'm going to hang out with you guys. I got nowhere to go. So I'm going to hang out all throughout the night. I've got some written content, too, coming at fox43.com. Melon Fonwu at 70. I would love that. That'd be great value. I can't imagine he'll be there. You're up in 18 picks, though, so it's not that far away at this point. And the way it's going quick, I mean, we're probably going to be picking by, what, you think, before 9 o'clock? Daniel Jeremiah had 42, 50 of his top 50 on the top 50. Yep. Knows more than Mike Mayock, I'll tell you that. Dude, the Raiders. What are they doing, by the way? Even they know that people are crapping on their picks because their social media account was like, contrary to what experts say, Mike Mayock and John Gruden could not be more happy. It's like damage control. That's what I thought the Eagles were about to do with that Stacey Dales report yesterday. I'm like, they know they're about to mess this up, and they're trying to, do a little PR campaign. But the Eagles are the opposite. You know how many national media members yesterday said the Eagles won the night? Because you went from 6 to 12 to 10. You collected a first-round pick in 2022, and you only gave up a third-round pick this year. So you got Devontae Smith in a first next year instead of, the Dolphins took Jalen Waddle at 6 and Waddle in a third. I mean, Howie Roseman, and again, this is removing the quarterback thing, because if Justin Fields is a star, then this was a bombshell of a draft in a bad way. Like, this was a disaster. But removing that from the equation, because I didn't think that was a possibility, you killed it in this other vacuum. Big fan of Edge Cam Sample as well. 70 seems rich for him, though. Yeah. But then again, I thought Peyton Turner would be a guy, edge rusher, available at 70, and he was a first-round pick. So everybody's boards are different, and I'm open-minded with the draft, so as long as it's not Danny Watkins. Do they just take Usu Koromoa? Finally. 52? Thought he was going top 20. Wow, Cleveland's had a... Wait, was that the pick, though? Let me just make sure. I'm going to turn it down so I don't spoil it for Caesar. Yep, that's the pick. Cleveland got Greg Newsome and Joker. Cleveland's a fun team. Too bad their quarterback sucks. Baker Mayfield. We got fans in here of Baker. I'm not. Very Goff-like vibes. Jimmy Garoppolo. They're going to look for their Trey Lance eventually. Their Matt Stafford. Wow. Owusu Koromoa fell to 52. And we're up right where the Eagles took Jalen Hurts last year, guys. So drink to that because that sucked. And look where we are now. I hope he's great, but I wish we had Carson still. That's the one part that hurt yesterday is that, like, I love Devontae Smith, and I think he's going to do so well with whoever the quarterback is, and he's going to help the quarterback instrumentally. Cheers, Caesar. But, man, the fact that Carson doesn't get to throw to him hurts because that's the kind of receiver we were begging the Eagles to get him. And they just never did. But at least the next quarterback's going to have that support system. I put up this graphic on our Twitter account because, again, I looked at – I think I mentioned this earlier. This offense – again, I don't know how many games they're going to win. But this offense is going to – and I don't know if Jalen Hurts is a long-term option. But Michael Vick wasn't either, and that offense was really fun. So I definitely think this team is going to be a fun watch this year, kind of like Arizona last year, where you might not make the playoffs, but you're going to be a fun team to watch. I mean, this team does give me 2010 Eagles vibes, where you look at you've got your mobile quarterback, right, in Michael Vick. You've got your cut on a dime, do it all running back in LaShawn McCoy. You've got your more complete X receiver in Jeremy Maclin, who's also really fast and great run after the catch, right, in the screen game, but he's overshadowed by a better version of that, a home run hitter, your Z, and Deshaun Jackson. Whereas I feel like that's kind of similar with what you have in 2021. You have your mobile quarterback in Jalen Hurts, who, again, I don't know if he's the franchise guy, but like Michael Vick, very similar style of player. Vick's got a way better arm, though, for sure. But anyway, Miles Sanders kind of resembles LaShawn McCoy a lot in what he can do as a running back. Devontae, like Maclin, your more complete wide receiver. But, because Rager's role is going to be the home run hitter, the Z, the guy you probably use more with manufactured touches, moving him across the line of scrimmage, inside, outside, screen game, right, like Deshaun Jackson. But Smith can do that too, like Maclin could really well. He just can do everything else better as well. Devontae last year led college football in screen yards and in deep passing yards. So it's an explosive offense with these combos. And it's very similar to 2010. In 2010, again, I'm not comparing 2021 to the 2017 Super Bowl team. I'm comparing them to a team that lost in the wild card round. I'm just talking mostly entertainment value. Somebody doesn't agree with my Miles Sanders to McCoy comp, but I disagree with him. So it's a fun team. It's going to be entertaining. Will be entertaining, Zach says, but the back seven on D, woof. Yeah, I agree. They're going to have to score a lot of points. That's what, again, I'm not expecting them to be good this year because of like what you're saying. But they're going to be fun. They're going to be entertaining, like Arizona the past couple of years. I would say Arizona maybe 2 years ago is what this team's going to be. They're going to win like 6 games, but they're going to be fun. But I will say, even with that being said, though, if they made the playoffs in this division, I would not be surprised. Because although your secondary is garbage, you have both of your lines that I think are going to be really good this year. And you have that explosiveness. You're going to be able to put up points. You have coaches that can develop, I think, and elevate talent. So, they have a lot of holes, but I think there's things on this team that can patch those holes up. The ability to put up points, the strong offensive and defensive line, the coaches that I believe can develop talent. I'm not going to put my money again on them winning 10 games. They're going to probably be an entertaining 6-win team because of those holes that Zach is talking about. But again, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibilities that this is a wild card team in a 7-team playoff format with 17 games now. Yeah, this is a cool part too, Caesar. Devontae Smith's going to have number 6, which is awesome. Love that. Talk about the swag of this team now. Very similar to the swag of 2010. Jalen Hurts is going to be number 1. We got Devontae is going to be 6. I don't know. Will Rager keep 18? I'm not sure. Have the Colts drafted anything for Carson Wentz yet? No, unfortunately, Carson goes to another team, but a different team drafts the same kind of player for him. High motor pass rusher, Kwity Paye out of Michigan. Carson will be fine, though. He's got a great offense there in Indy. And I don't know what this pick could be. Terrace Marshall? De'Ami Brown? Maybe they take a receiver here. Zach wants cornerback or safety next round. Feels deep in the third. I agree with safety. There's some really good options. I love Hamza Nasirildeen, Andre Sisco. Richie Grant did go. Yeah, never mind. And then you look at linebacker. Chaz Surratt is still on the board from UNC. Bolton from Missouri is still there. Edge rusher, there's a lot of upside with Jordan Smith, with Janaris Robinson. Quincy Roche, I think it might still be there. Forgive me because the board is not on my screen right now, so I don't really know. But thanks for tuning in, Zach. I'm doing nothing, so I thought I'd watch it with my Eagles fans. I live in Buffalo, New York, so Gino actually, kind of funny story. I met Gino Gino lived in Buffalo, so we did shows together in person a lot. He was the only other Eagles fan I knew in Buffalo, outside of my other friend from college, but he wasn't from here. Gino was the only guy from here that I knew that was an Eagles fan. But funny story about me and Gino, actually, we didn't even meet in Buffalo. We met in Philly the night of the Super Bowl. We both watched the Eagles Super Bowl win at the Fillmore in downtown Philly, and we were both in line getting into the theater. And they asked, they were trying to kill time, and they're like, "Where's everybody from?" And he said Amherst, New York, which is a suburb of Buffalo. It's where I work at the Buffalo Bills radio network. And I'm like, "Get out of here!" And me and Gino started talking, but that's not even where lockdown started. Like a couple months later, in June, I got the lockdown gig, and he followed me, and I'm like, "You look familiar." Like when I made him my co-host, I'm like, after I made him my co-host is when we found out we had met. I'm like, "You look really familiar, you and your fiance." And I met him in Philly actually, so. But anyway, long story, back to the point, there's no one here to really watch the Eagles with. So this is kind of like, sitting in a bar with you guys, pounding some brews. Caesar is in Western Colorado. So I'll see you. Caesar, Gino lives in Denver now. So I was planning on maybe going up for that game. See my boy Teddy Bridgewater and KJ Hamler. Any European fans still up watching the draft? Cheers, Janik. We had a couple people in from the UK earlier. Our good guy, our good listener or loyal listener, Tony from Scotland, was on earlier. You're from Australia. Hell yeah. This is awesome. I'll tell you what, I've been doing lockdown now for 3 years. I still nerd out that people from Australia love the birds and they're listening to us. It's still really cool. It's surreal. So I appreciate you guys a lot. Somebody's listening from Australia. That's dedication. That's really cool. Listen daily to Locked On Eagles and Draft from Seattle. Hell yeah, Zach. Cheers, my man. West of Colorado and Utah. So my mom actually lives in Arizona, so I go out west all the time. So I'm going to be out there this summer for a while. Actually, I fly out in a week. There's an Eagles backers bar actually 2 minutes down the road from where my parents live in Fountain Hills by Phoenix. It's one of the coolest experiences ever. And I don't know if are there Eagles backers bars by you guys? Hit me up if there are. I love hitting up different backers bars. But unfortunately, the first time I went to, it was called Eagles West. It was the day in 2019 the Eagles blew that game against Fitzpatrick in Miami. So Ryan Fitzpatrick spoiled that day for me for sure. But it was incredible to see all the Eagles fans there. It was like, holy cow. Randall Cunningham did it for you. Michael Vick and Donovan McNabb did it for me. So I'm in the same boat as you. Let's see what this Colts pick is. Yeah, I mean, mobile court when you're young, and still to this day, but mobile quarterbacks are entertaining to watch. I love where the league is going. I love that pocket passers now are not in. Teams do not want pocket passers anymore. They don't. And I love that because that's what I grew up loving. And it's part of why I liked the Eagles, why I chose them to be my team. I don't have this romantic story growing up of why I'm a Birds fan. It was kind of random, but also at the same time, like I gravitated towards them based on the kind of quarterback they like. When you think about it, the Eagles are like the birthplace of the mobile quarterback. Randall Cunningham is like the OG, and he led the NFL in rushing yards throughout history up until 2011. And guess who broke it? Another Eagles quarterback. I was there. It was really cool. I got to be at the game 2011. Not a lot of good stuff in the Dream Team year, but Michael Vick in Buffalo broke Cunningham's all-time record with a 60-plus yard run, and I was right in front of Vic when he did it. It was awesome. And McNabb doesn't get enough credit for how mobile he was because he's sandwiched in between the two best mobile quarterbacks maybe ever. And then Carson Wentz, they wanted over Jared Goff, Jalen Hurts even. I love that this team prioritizes mobile quarterbacks. And it's why I was so miserable in 2015 when they went with the opposite, when they went with Sam Bradford. So, at least it's the one thing. You guys know I don't really love Jalen Hurts, but one thing I do like is he can run, and it's an entertaining product. The Colts took another pass rusher? Jeez. Been a fairly regular listener for the last 4 months. Cheers from Denmark? Hell yeah, let's go. Cheers, Janik. Spencer is going to be at the draft next year in Vegas. It's a cool experience, man. I went to the draft. It was always on my bucket list. And I went to the draft in Philadelphia in 2017. So the fact that I got to go to my first draft in Philly was very cool. We actually won the lottery for the process for tickets inside the stadium or the stage, which they built on the Rocky Steps, which is, tell you what, I don't think I'll ever have an experience like that again. In 1 year, I got to be in Philly to see them win a Super Bowl and to see them to be at the draft. Nothing will top 2017 ever for me, ever. Go Birds from Montreal? Hell yeah. Canada, Australia, Denmark, Seattle. I'm in Buffalo, so I'm not even in Philly. Birds from afar. We travel everywhere. We are across the globe. Spencer's out west in Utah. We got Caesar in Colorado. Janik was hoping for Asante. Same, man. Same. Ooh, our first tight end of the day. Fryermuth from Penn State. We are. Goes to Pittsburgh at number 55. They're going all in on Ben Roethlisberger this year. They're running it back. I would hate to be them. Ugh. What pick are we at? 55? So the Eagles are up in 15 picks. We'll get Gino back on when the pick happens. And again, we'll have a recap. So this isn't the only thing we're doing today. We have a recap podcast definitely coming tonight as well. Let me just invite Gino real quick to prepare. I'm kind of okay with whatever the Eagles do with this next pick. Even running back, I would be kind of okay with. Like if they took Kylan Hill, I'm fine at this point. The only thing I don't love is defensive tackle. I just really don't want one. But a high upside edge rusher I'm cool with, a safety, a corner. You could double dip at receiver, even an offensive lineman. Everything's on the board at this point. I'm kind of okay with what happens. Cade's watching from Texas. Ooh, you're in Cowboys country. Behind enemy lines. Cheers, Cade. Yeah, I live in Bills country, so they don't really hate the Eagles. Just kind of, different conferences. Got the house divided flag in my apartment. I just like the Mighty Ducks logo, and that was my team back then, if you're wondering about the banner in the background. Janik, who are people hoping for in the third? All right, let me rank. So I would go number one. My number one option right now would be probably Melon Fonwu. Yeah. And then after Melon Fonwu, it would probably be Hamza Nasruddin, the safety / he's a safety. I don't think he can play single high, but he's reminds me a lot of Cam Chancellor, where and obviously that's a lofty expectation, but I just mean like physicality, like his build and the style of player he is. He'll be a box safety, kind of like the Joker, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. So I think Nasruddin would be 2. Who else would be after that? Jabril Cox, the linebacker from LSU, would be a great pick. Transferred from North Dakota State to LSU last year, was the leader of that defense. So I think Jabril Cox would be a good pick. And then you look at the defensive line. Jordan Smith from UAB would be my edge rusher. I think he has the most upside of any of them. But I like both Florida State kids, Janaris Robinson and Joshua Kando. And I also like the Oregon State kid who had, I think, like 14 sacks last year, Hamilcar Rashid Jr. There's some crazy names, by the way, in this draft. Hamza, Hamilcar, Ifeadu, Jeremiah Wusu-Koromoa, Elijah Vera Tucker. It's a unique class when it comes to names. Carlos Basham is on the board, too, in Wake Forest, the edge rusher. I think the Eagles would be very interested in him. He can play inside and out. Brandon Graham kind of vibes. Yeah. I think it's defense next. Everybody I mentioned there was defense, right? Andre Cisco would be good, too, the Cuse safety. Now a lot of names are coming to me. Paulson Adebo, the Stanford corner. Chaz Surratt, the UNC linebacker. It's if you've noticed the trend, it's edge rusher or it's second or third level of the defense. That's what I want. Defensive end, linebacker, corner, or safety. I'm good with any of that. Basham was a fun watch. Yeah. I had a buddy that went to Wake Forest actually and covered the Demon Deacons football team. Loved Basham. So Cisco or Adebo. Yeah. Spencer, I like the theme of those two players because they're ball hawks at safety, different positions, but both fill a need when it comes to turnovers. The Eagles are starved for turnovers on defense, and both of those guys were among the top ball hawks in the country last year, or over the last – Adebo didn't play last year, but over the past couple of years. Cade, I know we have receivers, but if we could grab Marshall just to get bodies in there to develop. I mean, it wouldn't be my top choice, but again, I'm cool with double dipping. I think Quez Watkins, Hightower, Fulgham, one of those guys can be your third receiver, or you could trade for a veteran like Anthony Miller. So I'm kind of okay with receiver now with what they've got. But if they double dipped and they'd rather have Terrace Marshall instead of Quez or that's fine. Cade asks, do you think Ertz will get traded tonight? I thought if it was going to happen by this point, it would have happened, like in a trade up or something. So I don't know. At this point, I think maybe unless you want to just deal him for a fifth or an extra fourth, or what if you could do this where you trade him, but you get a veteran player back in return. Like let's say you trade Ertz to Chicago. Here's an idea. Let's say you trade Ertz to the Bears and a lower pick, and you get back Anthony Miller and a higher pick. So the Bears upgrade passing targets going from Anthony Miller to Zach Ertz, and then you get a slot receiver that you need in Anthony Miller, and then you move up the board. Maybe something like that. Dwayne Eskridge just went to the Seahawks. Great pick. Western Michigan receiver. Gino loved interviewing him. Jamar Johnson from Indiana. Like that prospect as well. Solid player, high floor. Could interest the Eagles. What's going on the Twitterverse right now? Gino's talking up Dwayne Eskridge on Twitter. Does not surprise me. Yeah, there's a lot of fun players I like still. Eagles are up in 13 picks. Remember the Timmy Jernigan trade? I'm feeling something similar to. Yeah. I would take a fourth. But honestly, if you don't get a fourth or more, like if you didn't trade up, if you didn't move Ertz through a trade up or through getting a top 4 round pick, I honestly I'd rather keep Zach Ertz for Jalen Hurts next year than move him for like a 6. I just feel like you almost maybe had to do that with how Ertz moved on mentally. It just felt like it was over. So you almost just had to take what you can get. Kind of like Malcolm Jenkins last year. Like it was over. That when you didn't want to pay him, that was it. It's the same thing with Ertz. So I'd rather keep him than just move him for pennies. But I don't know if you can do that at this point. Although if you keep Ertz, then you're going to be running 12 personnel heavy again, and I don't want to do that. So maybe you do move him and just take what you can get. The problem is you have little leverage, because you have Dallas Goedert. You didn't pay Ertz. He had this whole emotional ending goodbye. So you don't have a lot of leverage. That was part of why, too, I'm like, why is he holding out? But maybe Howie's okay with keeping him. Bizarro Howie with trade. So you get a third rounder. Yeah. What running backs am I looking for late round? I like the local kid from here, Jarrett Patterson from Buffalo. Video game like numbers last year, a historic season. Would be a solid rotational guy with Jordan Howard and Boston Scott. Kylan Hill from Mississippi State is my favorite running back still left on the board. I think Kenneth Gainwell is still on the clock from Memphis, but Cade, you're probably talking more late round. Those guys are probably going to go today, tomorrow. If you want, like with Sanders and Boston Scott being your receiving backs, if you want like a power guy, more so like a Jordan Howard or Jay Ajayi, LeGarrette Blount type, Ramondre Stevenson from Oklahoma could be that powerful back. Not going to, again, like if you need 4 yards, he'll get you 4 yards. If you need 7 yards, he'll get you 4 yards. Probably LeGarrette Blount type of player, but that kind of fits what you need personnel-wise at running back. So Ramondre Stevenson. I like Jamar Johnson a lot, or I'm sorry, Jamar Jefferson from Oregon State. I think he has the most upside of any day 3 running back. So those are some players to keep an eye on. When is Patterson expected to go? I would say 5th round, 5th or 6th round. Yeah, only 3 running backs have gone. So what was it? Najee Harris to Pittsburgh, Travis Etienne to Clemson, and then Javonte Williams went to who again? The Jets? The Dolphins. Who took Javonte? One of those teams. By the way, Javonte was 5th on my list. I liked Kylan Hill better and Kenneth Gainwell. What are we all drinking tonight? What's the beer of choice? What's the mixed drink of choice? The seltzer. Kind of grown stale on seltzers. You know what they remind me of? It's like that fake sugar taste. I know they're low in calories. And they don't give you the beer gut these do, but they remind me of, like Trident gum, like the sugar-free stuff. They don't taste terrible, and it's gum, so like your expectations are low. You're not going to go into a movie theater and buying gum for candy. For what it is, it's sweet, But like when you have options, I just can't do seltzers. Vodka sodas are better. Those High Noons, now those are solid. Caesar, I guess Seattle loves huge receivers. Eskridge is actually more of a speed guy. Eskridge is interesting. He at Western Michigan played both corner and receiver, so he's a track star, very versatile. I actually like that he played corner. I think that adds an element to your game if you're a receiver, like with the way you see the game. It's kind of like with like linebacker. This Chaz Surratt kid, the linebacker from UNC, he actually was a quarterback, and although like that makes you're behind when it comes to your development at linebacker, I kind of like that he has a quarterback brain with how he sees the game. I think that's a unique perspective on defense. The Rams take Tutu Atwell, the Louisville fast receiver. Why? Are they expecting Deshaun Jackson to play like 2 games, which is fair at this point? But they have Cooper Kupp, they have Robert Woods, they have Deshaun Jackson, they have Van Jefferson, and now they have Tutu Atwell. Kind of like Arizona, man. I'm telling you, the NFC West is fun. It's not the way I would probably draft, but they're just weapons. Seattle too. Excuse me. DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, Dwayne Eskridge, San Fran, Kittle, Ayuk, Debo. The NFC West. It's crazy. It's a fun division. That's what teams do now, though. They take 3+ weapons. They want 3 good receivers. They want a do-it-all running back. They want a Dallas Goedert like tight end. Teams don't stop. It just kind of matters. Philly, the same thing. The difference is like compared to Dallas and Denver and LA, San Fran, Philly just hasn't executed. Like they've wanted weapons galore. They had Alshon, they had Aguilar, they had Ertz. That didn't stop them. They took Goddard in the second round. They traded for Dallas Goedert with they traded a third round pick for Golden Tate at the trade deadline. They signed before that Mike Wallace in free agency. They signed Torrey Smith. They traded for Deshaun Jackson. They took J.J. Arcega-Whiteside in the second round, and then Miles Sanders in the second round. And then last year, Jalen Reagor in the first round. And then they took Quez and Hightower, and this year Devontae. Like the difference is that everybody's kind of had the same philosophy, but Philly just is bombing the execution. But I think that's going to change with Devontae. And I think Devontae is going to help change that with Jalen Reagor as well. Because now Reagor doesn't have to be your X receiver, your guy that leads the team in targets at wideout. He can be your – again, I think when Macklin came in, it really helped Deshaun Jackson. As much as Deshaun maybe didn't like it at the time, I think Jeremy coming in really took the pressure off Jackson, and it made Jackson better. And so that helps. And so I think Smith is going to have the same impact on everybody. The Eagles are up in 12 picks. And then again, be on the lookout for a recap podcast later. Let me do some behind the scenes work real quick, if you'll excuse me. It's a one-man job, people. It's a one-man job. Well, two-man job when Gino's here, but nobody told me what we're drinking tonight. What's the beverage of choice? What's Cesar Garcia drinking on a Friday night? Who the Chiefs go with? Mick Bolton, the linebacker from Missouri. Solid pick. Oh, we're drinking Diet Coke tonight, Caesar. Yuck. Well, what's going on here? No. I kind of like that idea that I brought up earlier about Ertz to Chicago. Am I missing somebody that the Bears have a tight end? I don't think so, right? What was it, Jimmy Garoppolo last year? Yeah, like what if you move up a little bit, you swap picks, the Eagles get a higher pick, and you swap passing targets. They get Zach Ertz, the Eagles get Anthony Miller. Anthony Miller is your slot. Devontae Smith is your X. Jalen Reagor is your Z. All three guys could move around. And Miller doesn't have to start if Quez Watkins is better, if John Hightower is better, if Travis Fulgham is your big slot. I don't know. Fulgham at this point, I think, is a backup. with the Smith move. I mean, he could be if Devontae's moving inside or if Jalen Rager's moving inside, you could put Fulgham on the outside. But I think Quez and Hightower are more interchangeable where you can move them inside and out. It's crazy with Fulgham, man. He was leading the league in receiving yards for a month. It wasn't just a 1 week thing. It was like 4 or 5 months straight. And then he just dropped off the face of the earth. And a lot of it was because they gave his snaps to Alshon Jeffrey. But I think at the same time, though, people give Fulgham maybe a little bit too much credit there. I think at the same time, Fulgham was a little bit of a flash in the pan. Like, I don't think he was as bad as he was as useless as he was the final 5 weeks of the season or the second half of the season. But he's also not nearly as good as he was in the first half either. Like, let's be real. There's a middle ground there. And I think he's closer to what he was at the end than he was at the start. He's probably a great wide receiver 4. Like, if he's your 4th receiver, if he's your first call up if there's an injury, then that's a good situation to be in. He's not wide receiver 1. I know they wanted Rager to play inside out. Yeah, that's the thing too. So I wouldn't be surprised if they don't go for like a slot dependent receiver like Anthony Miller. Not that he's dependent on the slot, but he's a slot guy. They want like slot by committee kind of. They need slot production, but I don't think they want it to be a guy that's just like, you're the slot guy. Rager can play inside. Devontae Smith was the best slot receiver when it comes to numbers last year in efficiency in football. Yeah, so I think they want the guys they already have to play inside. Quez Watkins can do it too. So I think it's going to – and Greg Ward, if you need him. Greg Ward's the worst case. He's the 2019. We need somebody, anybody. That's Greg Ward. But he's the best of a bad situation. But in a good situation, he's a wide receiver 6. He should make your roster for sure. He's shown he could step up in big games. And even last year, he had 6 touchdowns. He can play. He should have been on the roster since like 2014, 2015 when he came into the league. But you don't want him starting in the slot. Yeah, they're going to move a lot of different guys in there, inside and out. And even if you trade for Anthony Miller, you can still do that. Nick Sirianni even said in his press conference yesterday, I love it. Some media member tried to get him in a corner and say, well, shouldn't a receiver have one spot that he's normally at? And Sirianni's like, no, that's not my philosophy. Like, everybody's going to move around. And I love that. The open-mindedness of him, I'm very excited about Sirianni. Because again, we did a podcast last week about this. What does it take to be an X receiver, right? You play mostly against press coverage. That normally is where your top receiver goes. He's on the line of scrimmage. You don't really move him around in motion in the slot. He's not your Z, he's your X. That's where your best receiver goes. But that doesn't mean your best receiver always has to play at the X. There's a reason teams play their best receiver a lot in the slot and in different spots, because you want to get them touches. Just because they can do it in a more difficult environment doesn't mean you always want to put them in that difficult environment. You know what I mean? So Devontae can be your X, but you're going to want him at times in the slot. You're going to want him in motion at times in the screen game to get him easier touches. He can do his work in a harder situation against press man coverage as the X, but you don't always want him to have to do that. So you need an X, but you want a guy to be able to play X, but you don't always want to have to keep him there. Optionality. Again, that's the key. All right, we're at pick 59. Well, it's slowing down a little bit here. Still got 11 picks to go until the Eagles are back up at 70. They would have had 84 today as well in the 3rd round, but they moved that to get Devontae Smith, so I'm not complaining. Ooh, what about punt returning options? Interesting question. No more Greg Ward, right? It's kind of the same thing with the slot. Greg Ward was in a pinch. If you need him, he can do it, but that's it. You don't want to need him. And Jalen Rager showed last year, the Panthers took Darius Marshall. I love that. Love that for Carolina. The Panthers are my other team in the NFC, if people can't tell. Got a couple friends that are diehard Panthers fans. Darius Marshall, Robbie Anderson, and DJ Moore, and C-Mac for Sam Darnold. That's fun. Back to punt returner, though. Jalen Reagor, probably the favorite to do it. It's kind of like Alabama last year. Jalen Waddle was their punt returner. Then when he went down, Devontae Smith showed he could do it. He took one to the house against, was that Western Kentucky? I can't remember. Reagor should probably be the favorite to do it. Did you see Quez Watkins, though, move against Arizona last year with that touchdown? If he can make people miss like that in a compressed, that wasn't just like down the field one-on-one either. That was a screen, a bubble screen, I think. And there was a lot of traffic around, and he spun people out. So Quez Watkins could be used as a returner too. I think it should be Reagor. It should be the receivers, Reagor and Quez Watkins, and then Devontae Smith can do it too. Devontae's a jack of all trades. They're going to be way better in the return game, I think, this year than they've been since 2017 when you had Kenyon Barner. Since 2017, you've been bad when it comes to the return game. Bad. Sam Darnold is smiling. Yes, he is, Caesar. They passed on Justin Fields last night, and today they take a receiver. I'm so excited to see RPOs and play action with Sanders. Hurts. Yeah, I agree, Cade. It's not a one-trick pony. I was nervous they were going to be. I'm still a little bit nervous because I don't know if you can win games with Hurts throwing 30-plus times a game, but they've got options now. And again, like we said yesterday on the podcast, Devontae Smith, it's a trickle-down effect. He's going to help Reagor. He's going to help Hurts. He's going to help Miles Sanders, Dallas Goedert. You can do a lot now when you're not one-dimensional. Again, as I've said like 30 times on the show today, optionality. Don't be closed-minded. Spencer, I'm afraid the Saints are going to take a cornerback we want. Yeah, this could be Efiadu Melanfonwu or Paulson Adebo. But at this point, I'm not worried about it though, because I'm not in love with any corners that are left. All the guys I wanted to be core pieces are gone. I like some of the prospects still, but like if somebody goes, I'm not gonna be heartbroken anymore. Their CB1's not coming through this draft now. At this point, that's going to be down the road through a trade, through a signing next year, through the draft. Well, your CB1 right now is still Darius Slay. I don't want to ignore Slay as if like he's 37, and he's on his last legs. Like you do have your CB1 right now, but I mean like the other core piece on the opposite side, that's going to come next year. Unless, a third round pick could be that, but who did the Saints take? Nope, they went with Pete Warner, the Ohio State linebacker. So that's good. Wasn't on my radar. Oh, Steven Nelson, the Pittsburgh Steelers cornerback, Mark Schaefer writes in. Didn't even think about that. Yeah, as a CB2 for sure. See, I was thinking more like opposite Darius Slay, that's a great pairing. But like my next corner, that's my CB2. I'm also looking to eventually be my CB1 when Darius Slay moves on. You know what I mean? So that's why I wanted Asante so bad, because like he's a perfect CB2. He can play in the slot as well. And then when Slay moves on, I'm confident that Samuel can shadow a team's top receiver. If Steven Nelson is eventually your CB1, are you confident he can shadow DeAndre Hopkins, CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper? So as a CB2, Steven Nelson's a great idea for like a short-term need. But long-term, I'm looking for a guy that can be CB2 short-term and CB1 long-term. How are Bills fans feeling about Rizzo? Yeah, so I work for the Bills radio network too, for people that don't know. I think Bills fans have the luxury right now, kind of like the Eagles in 2018, after they won the Super Bowl, where anything can work for them because they don't really have a lot of needs. Excuse me, allergies are kicking my ass. So I think they wanted a receiver, honestly, with the age of Beasley and Emmanuel Sanders, or a running back with Travis Etienne and Najee Harris, but they didn't fall. So, but I think edge rusher is the position they needed the most, though. You look at the Chiefs, they weren't able to take advantage of what the Bucs did with that bad Kansas City offensive line because Buffalo didn't have pass rushers. They didn't. Jerry Hughes and Mario Addison didn't get the job done. So that was probably their biggest need, short term and long term. And Rizzo is lengthy. He's explosive. He's raw for sure, but he can play inside and out. He had 14 sacks last year, 15 sacks at the U. So I think it's a great pick. I think, and there's a lot of upside there, which I like. Buffalo loves upside, and that's my kind of style. But I think fans were. It's kind of like when we took Landon Dickerson. When the Eagles took Landon Dickerson, it's kind of like, eh. It's just when linemen are picked, even for pass rushers, fans they know it's a responsible, necessary pick. But again, nobody's freaking out over a baked potato planed. You need it to have the sour cream and the bacon bits and the chives or whatever you put on a baked potato. It's kind of a very versatile food. But you have to have the baked potato part, but that's not the sexy part of it. It's what you put on it. So even when fans like the pick, though, you could tell they're not feeling juiced about it. It's like medicine when you're sick. You got to have it, but you're not enjoying it when you drink it. Like gross pink crap. Thank you, Spencer. My analogies and references aren't as elite as Gino's, but they're better after a couple cocktails. 10 picks out, Zach. That's right. Give us the target list. All right. Let's do this. Number 1, Syracuse cornerback Ifeatu Melifonwu. Number 2, Florida State cornerback or safety / do-it-all second, third level player Hamza Nasruddin. Who's number 3? Number 3, I'd say, is Stanford corner Paulson Adebo. So all three, the top 3 are secondary. It's Ifeatu Melifonwu, the Syracuse corner. It's safety Hamza Nasruddin from Florida State. It's Paulson Adebo from Stanford. Number 4, I would say, is Carlos Basham, the Wake Forest edge rusher. No, I like Jordan Smith better. I'll go Smith from UAB, the edge rusher, at 4. Basham at 5. I'll say Andre Cisco, the Syracuse safety, at 6. I like the UNC linebacker, Chaz Surratt, maybe a 7. Yeah. 8 would be – oh, no, I'm sorry. I forgot about Jabril Cox. Let's throw Jabril Cox in there in the top 5, too, the LSU linebacker. And then, move Chaz Surratt down a spot. And then with my Elijah Mode in the Washington corner, too, would make sense. So those are 10 names I think I mentioned that I like. I know UFC corner Aaron Robinson's still on the board, and he might be better than a lot of those names I mentioned, but he's slot dependent, and you need corner everywhere, depth, outside, slot. But again, when I take a corner this year, I want it to I want him to be able to play slot. I want him to be my CB2 right now, but I want him to eventually be able to be my CB1. But in the 3rd round, I guess that's where you take slot guys, so I guess I'd be okay with it. But so that's kind of my makeshift quick list. Let's see what other people are thinking. Wait, let me see what the Bills picked here real quick. Okay, there's Carlos Basham. I was saying Bashman, I think, the edge rusher from Wake Forest. So Buffalo is going all in on pass rushers. Zach likes Melifonwu, Nasruddin, and Adebo. I agree. Smith, Bashman, Cisco. Oh, are you making the list for me? I appreciate that if that's what you're doing. But if you agree, yeah. Yeah, so it's Melifonwu, Nasruddin, Adebo. I would throw Jabril Cox ahead of Smith. But then it's Jordan Smith. It was Basham, Andre Cisco. Yeah, those are a lot of the names I'm thinking. It's pretty much the theme is defense, mostly the 2nd and 3rd level, but also edge rusher. Bolton was picked already. I'm almost positive he just went a couple picks. Yeah, he went. Greetings from Brazil. Lucas, my man. What's up, brother? Cheers. Australia, the UK, Brazil, Canada, across the U.S. Eagles fans are everywhere. Buffalo is where I'm at. Cheers, Lucas. Spencer, I hope the Packers go defense again. I mean, at this point, Rodgers wants out anyway, right? So who cares? Just do your thing at this point. Do what you do. Because he's going to want out no matter what. You know what I noticed, by the way? These cans, they're recycled. It's an IPA beer that's hiding behind this label. I worked at a beer store, so I know this. I know what the beer is underneath it, and I was looking at this the other day. I'm like, that looks very familiar. So I guess recycling is good, though, right? Who do the Packers take?
But yeah, before I get to this pick, I want to thank the organization, Green Bay Packers, for giving me an opportunity to represent our organization to the best I can. I want to thank the NFL for giving me an opportunity. And with that being said, the Packers fans up front, we not done yet, so I'm saying y'all know we getting one. So
no, you're done. You're done if Jordan Love's the quarterback.
21 NFL draft, Green Bay Packers select Josh Myers, center, Ohio State. Go Bulldogs.
A center. Josh Myers, Ohio State. I had him mocked to the Eagles in one of our mock drafts, but they took Landon Dickerson, so they got safety taken care of. Thoughts on Darius Williams? Yeah, I like him. For based on the Eagles are up in 7 picks here. Based on the board, I think not worried about. I don't want him at 70. Wow, Kansas City picked fast. Gino just texted me, give me a Cuse defensive back. He loves his Syracuse orange. Lacrosse, I think, mostly. But he's a big Cisco and Melanfanu guy. I am too. I think those are two of my favorite options. There's still some. That's the thing. Like you didn't get Horn, you didn't get Surtain, you didn't get Asante, but there are some good players still. And I don't know if these guys are going to be your CB1 or your top safety of the future, but there are some good role players you can still get in the secondary. And that fit a niche too. Niche? I don't know. When it comes to turnovers, like I said, this team is so desperate for since Asante Samuel Sr. When was the last? I feel old, by the way, calling him senior. I'm only 23 and I feel old saying that. I grew up watching Asante, but when was it outside of Brandon? I guess Brandon Boykin was your last ball hawk in 2013, right when he had 6 picks. Have you had anything since? I think Rasul Douglas might be the closest, and that was in 2018, right? When Mills and Darby went down and they went on that playoff run, Zool was incredible, and he was getting turnovers. My boy, Zool high for life. Never forget. But yeah, they outside of 1 year of Boykin, one flash in the pan with Boykin and Zool, they haven't had anything when it comes to turnovers. Creed Humphreys the pick for the Chiefs. Thank you, Zach. This coverage is wasting my time with the TV production. Which means we have 6 more picks until the Eagles are up. Gino is going to join me in a couple minutes. Lucas, I am sorry to inform you that Asante went to LA. Heartbreaking, I know. I had an Asante Samuel jersey on. I did take it off, though, so it doesn't mock me anymore. Always a great jersey, though. Always a great jersey. Zach, send me your address. We need to replace this Mighty Ducks with the Flyers. So, Zach, I grew up in a Sabres household, so the Flyers are not a popular team in my family. I'm not a really big hockey guy anymore, though. I grew up a Ducks fan, actually. I guess I'd say I'm a Sabres fan now, but I don't really follow the NHL that much anymore. I'll take free stuff, though, if you want to send me a banner. But that logo is elite. Like, come on, look at that. I can't believe they changed it to what it is now. Look at that. The stupid D now with the web foot and it's orange. Like, that's the best logo maybe ever in sports. The 90s just had incredible sports logos and colors, and everything was bright. And now, I mean, it's getting more closer to that now, but the 2000s were just navy blue and dark colors and modern looking stuff. Like, it's supposed to be fun. That's what it is. I can't wait for Kelly Green to come back. When the NFL stops being stingy about 2 helmets, I can't wait for the retro jerseys to come back across the league. including the Eagles? Yes, Lucas. I'm serious. Asante was picked a while ago. He fell. Well, I shouldn't say a while ago. It was 47, so it's been a bit. But he fell way farther than I thought he was going to be a first-round pick. Yeah, right? The Jason mask, only it's a duck. It's incredible. The ducks are what got me into sports. Sorry, there we go. Before I got into sports, me and my dad used to, during intermission for all the Sabres games, we would trade cards. And he gave me a Mighty Ducks. It was like a plain card with just the logo. I don't know why that got me into sports, but like trading cards is what got me into it. It was hockey first, and then I kind of gravitated towards football, but I still have that card on my desk. So the Ducks are more of a nostalgic thing for me. It's not the Ducks I liked were Teemu Selanne and Paul Kariya, Jane Sebastian Jaguar, Scott Niedermayer. That team's long gone. So there's your hockey talk for tonight, but you didn't think you were going to get that. When you do 5 podcasts a week, though, and you do 4-hour live shows and you tweet nonstop, your content gets around the block, you know? I think I'm going to be happy with this pick no matter what. I think I'm going to be more excited about this pick than the second round pick. The second round pick was more of a need, a necessity for sure. But I think I'm going to enjoy this next pick more. I don't know. What sour are we drinking? We are going with the Duclaw Summertime Seedless Watermelon Hop Sour. Duclaw is a brewery in Baltimore. They have some top tier sours. They have the Sour Me Nerds beer was really good. I just had a peach cobbler one earlier today. This one's watermelon straight. I love watermelon flavor, but like when it's not, this one's supposed to be more like fresh watermelon instead of artificial. But I don't know if you guys have ever noticed, but like with watermelon, you know when there's like the watermelon rinds that are sitting in the garbage or like cantaloupe or honeydew, and to some people you might crack this can open and you're like, ooh, that's like a fresh watermelon smell. To me, it smells like garbage. It reminds me of garbage. So sometimes like these kind of beers make the one time I like bought not even just beer, but I went grocery shopping and I bought seedless watermelon juice. And I opened it up and it tasted good, but the smell was like freaking me out. But yeah, I'm going with the watermelon sour today. So let's see what else we got in the chat. You're about due for your hourly quarterback rant. Don't worry, we'll get there. The night is young. I think I've already talked a little bit about corner. Oh, we got Gino here. What up?
Dude, I open up the chat and I hear you talking about sours like that.
Dude, we're talking about everything, man. We've got people from Australia in here, Brazil. We're all just chilling.
Really? I love it, man.
Yeah, it's great. And Spencer wants me to rant about quarterbacks, but I feel like I've done that
Machine
enough.
Gun Kelly is out here. What are we doing at this point?
It's a clown show
He's
at this
from
point,
Cleveland.
man.
I forgot he's from Cleveland.
Yeah.
What are you thinking of the board so far? I don't think it's too bad.
I like it. Yeah. We actually made a quick list.
Taking Boogie was huge because I thought they had a real chance of taking Ifatu there. I thought they had to take a real chance of taking a cornerback. They need somebody opposite Tre'Davious White. I think taking Boogie after taking Greg Rousseau, after taking AJ Epinesa is crazy to me, Lou. Is that not insane to you?
They're going deep in. I think they saw what they couldn't do against the Chiefs that Tampa could, and they're like, we need to be able to do that.
But the thing is, they didn't get edge pressure against Pat Mahomes. It all comes from the interior, bro. They have Ed.
Well, Rousseau can play inside, though. He played a lot inside at
Is
U.
Epinesa going to move inside? I feel like that's got bound.
Oh, that could be it. And they're going to use Rousseau inside a lot of times, like that Amenihu type of. We actually made a list here. A makeshift thing. Let me scroll back up. Who is some of the guys that I had? So, like, Ifeatu Melifonwu was one. I really like Jabril Cox from LSU, the linebacker.
Jabril here would be a very good pick, honestly.
Like you texted me one of the Q's DBs, Andre Cisco. I think you're not going to get a CD1 at this point, but there's that niche role of like a ball hawk. Mm-hmm. Cisco and Paulson Adebo from Stanford would be awesome. So there's some names.
I think those nickel guys right here are like what you should be looking for.
Aaron Robinson from UCF.
Mm-hmm, definitely.
There's yeah. Zach helping me out here with the list. I also had Hamza Nasruddin there. Love Hamza.
Hamza would be.
That would be really good.
Hey, man, what about the Chargers, bro? Like, are they going to take every single defensive
I
back
know.
that we love?
They're taking all the guys we love. Nazir Adderley, Asante, Derwin James. They're
Crazy,
fun.
Dude.
And
they had
also
Desmond King before that.
Yep, Desmond King. The edge rushers, too. I like some upside edge rushers at this range. Jordan Smith, Janarius Robinson, the two Florida State kids, Quincy Roche, Hamilcar Rashid Jr. from Oregon State. I'm kind of okay with anything on defense at this point. Offense, even if I think you're kind of done with offense probably now. But even if you went Kylan Hill, I'm not going to be mad. I'm kind of okay with anything at this point.
When you look at what just happened, those last couple picks right there, it was smart to take Landon Dickerson as early as you did because you weren't going to get into that territory, honestly, to take that guy.
Yeah, did you see how many linemen went after that?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
there was a huge run. Who did they take?
I'll let you wait and see.
These guys take forever to make.
You got to get on that NFL Network, man.
I know. I just got a new apartment and the streaming.
Davis had a Bonesaw McGraw reference. That's how good this.
They took Kyle Trask.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Get out of here.
That's unbelievable.
Maybe hey Zach, this might start the quarterback rant. No, I'm just kidding. You don't take quarterbacks outside of the first round to me anymore if you plan on having them be the guy. Because do you honestly believe when Brady retires, Trask is going to be the one they let be the starter? I refuse. I doubt it.
Did you see the videos of Jalen Hurts when Devonta Smith got there today, though?
Yeah, they're at the Sixers game too.
Ripped up, bro.
Anyone compared to Devonta Smith's going to look big.
No, I mean,
I'm just
he
kidding.
still looks good though. Like,
yeah.
In good shape. Did you hear what Devonta said? He goes, "Man, you got to stay off them weights."
Gino,
makes any human being look big. Like Howie Roseman looks like a giant next to him.
Gino, somebody's asking, since you're not a sour beer guy, what are you sipping on tonight?
I'm sticking with the Coors Lights. They're here. They're cheap here in Denver.
The OG.
My dad was here. He bought a ton of them, and I'm trying to get rid of them here.
Mm-hmm.
I got to get. I'm the best man in a wedding, and for my best friend in 2 months. So
same.
I gotta get all the beer out of the house eventually.
Yep.
This weekend, more than anything, is the perfect time to have it because my stress level is at an all-time high. Honestly, though, I'm not feeling too stressed because
I'm good now. I was stressed in round one, but the Asante thing stressed me out. But now, like I've been saying, there's nothing at this point that I'd be mad about. Even in the second round, like I would have been mad if they took Javonte Williams or somebody like that. But now it's like you can kind of pick whatever you want.
Yeah, I'm taking
as long as it's not like a crazy reach.
Yeah, Ifeatu Melifonwu definitely is the number one for me. I think Aaron Robinson's right behind him there.
Yeah.
Went offensive line already. I don't really think you go back there. I think any of the edge rushers you had talked about, Rashad Weaver, you could probably throw in that category too.
Even Chaz, like going back to linebacker, I like Jabril Cox.
Yes,
I like Jabril Cox the best, but Chaz Surratt there's a lot of upside, a very Davian Taylor-like pick. What's going on here? What happened? You're so ahead of me. Oh, Cisco.
I'm going to go off. Andre Cisco was underrated this entire draft process. People were putting him in the hundreds. He just got drafted at 65 for a reason. This kid can play, man. This kid can play. Hats off to Andre Cisco. People were sleeping on this cat.
Saw most of your stress release yesterday with the Eagles pick. Yeah, that's true.
Twitter is
Janik's from Denmark. He says, "Man, we need some IPAs or pale ales." I can't do it yet, Janik. I'm still a boy when it comes to beer. I can't. It's still too bitter for me. Caesar. Oh, okay. Would Kellen Mond make you mad? Okay, yeah. Maybe that's the one pick that would make me mad. Yeah. Okay. Quarterback would make me mad. That's it.
No, the only QB that makes me mad in this. Oh, two. I cannot stand Felipe Franks. Felipe Franks lost me more money gambling, I think, than any college quarterback ever. And Ian Book. He is Trace McSorley 2.0.
Cisco's a good pick there.
Yep. Cisco's a great pick, brother. I think our friend, shout out Chris Malley, he was talking today that the Eagles were in talks to trade up with Jacksonville in the last round, but they were in love with Cisco. And turns out that they end up getting Cisco here by sitting a little bit, end up not trading. But he was right on it. I mean, they loved Cisco, and they went up and got their guy. I think Jacksonville's kind of turned it around here since making that ETN pick. After Trevor Lawrence taking ETN, to me, was kind of questionable. But I think they've locked it in here in these last couple picks.
Yeah, absolutely. Zach Myers, we're good with punter here. Okay, all right, yeah. Obviously, those positions.
Hey, no. Listen, hear me out. If you take the
not in round 3, man.
No. Listen, if you take the tight end, Zach Davison, out of Central Missouri, he was the punter for their team as well. That would be the only way I'd be okay with taking a punter here.
You would think at this point that punters and kickers could do more in 2021, but we're not there yet. I think we're going to get there at some point where teams are going to be like, you can't just be a punter now. Like, you have to be able to do something else. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Right? You would believe so.
At some point.
Did you see the Canadian Football League does a global draft before their college draft, which is next week? I think 8 of the first 10 picks were punters in their global draft. That's the type of draft I want to be involved in. We're just picking punters and kickers.
I guess to each their own. I guess to each their own, bro. Because that's the opposite of me.
No, I know. But if you're Australian and you have any eligibility, just learn how to punt, and you'll probably get a scholarship offer at some point.
Gino, I brought up when it was just me riding solo. Somebody asked, like, the Zach Ertz thing, what's going to go down at this point. I probably said, the best trade was going to come yesterday or earlier today, like a trade-up kind of thing. And I don't know if they just take a 5th or 6th outright, but what if, like, I kind of brought this up. What if you do, like, a player-for-player and a pick-for-pick swap? You look at Chicago. Anthony Miller's in the trade block. Chicago upgrades their pass target. They get Zach Ertz. We get Anthony Miller. And then we move up a couple picks, and they move down. Like, I feel like that could be something that could work here. I would rather just keep Zach Ertz than have a 6th-round pick. But I feel like the Eagles, I don't know, just felt like the end of it at the end of the season. And at this point, I don't know if you can bring it back. And I don't know if they want to bring it back because then you're not going to be able to play Quez Watkins as much and John Hightower. Like, if you have Ertz and Goddard still, you're going to be a 12 personnel. So maybe I do want just a 5th or 6th. Actually, I'm kind of changing my mind as I'm talking myself into it, just based on what I want this team to be moving forward. It just feels like it's over. So the Eagles held out even when they didn't have great leverage. I would probably just take what you can get now. But I'm kind of hoping if a trade does happen for that kind of scenario, the Chicago thing I drew up a little bit.
Yeah, if you look back to the Marquise Goodwin trade of last year, it was.
Yes.
I think that was it a 6th-round pick that happened for?
Yeah, they flipped 6th-round picks.
Okay, so you have to believe that you get more value than a Marquise Goodwin of sorts for a much better, much healthier type of player in Zach Ertz.
Zach says, was Anthony Miller a head case? I had Lauren Cox on our show a month ago from Locked On Bears, and he said that he's not a head case, but the issue with him is when he's running the right route, he creates separation consistently. The issue is, I guess, just like dedication to the playbook and like discipline. So I guess
that's
a coach would
Sirianni type of guy.
No, but I do think Sirianni of all people could get that out of him, right? So
yeah, that's a fair assumption.
I think Sirianni's the kind of guy that he's not like a Chip Kelly would say that kind of player will never play for me. Whereas Sirianni, kind of like Doug Peterson, what I loved about Doug was when Miami hated Jay Ajayi, he's like, we'll bring him in. What happened? Kellen Mond?
I love this draft.
Kellen Mond went to the Vikings.
Kellen Mond is now going to be the heir apparent to Kirk Cousins.
I think it's such a waste of it. I just don't think any of these teams are really going to give these guys a chance.
Why don't they take Ifatu Malafanu there, bro? Like, they need a cornerback.
I just don't think teams give second – well, the Eagles did, but it's kind of based on necessity. Teams that take 2nd, 3rd, 4th-round quarterbacks, those guys never get the chance. And maybe it's unfair, but it's like I feel like it's a waste of an asset because when you're Tampa Bay and you lose Tom Brady, are you really going to say, okay, we're building around Kyle Trask now?
Right.
I doubt it.
Yeah,
we're going to pass on first-round picks for Kyle Trask?
Jalen Hurts, man. Like, with the Drew Lock situation, look what's going on in Denver right now. Like,
right.
You don't take that guy. I mean,
Christian Hackenberg was that.
I believe Jalen, out of all these guys that we're talking about right now, is set up for the most success.
He's the best chance of being the Dak Prescott. Yeah, but like we're saying, it's an outlier. It's not the trend anymore.
Definitely. Yeah. No, it isn't the trend anymore, and it's going up and getting your guy, and I think it was evident with the Trey Lance pick. with San Francisco yesterday. I mean, you even go up and get a guy with 19 starts in his college career who just has raw talent.
Even Philly, by the way, Gino, Philly had a better case of justifying why they took Hurts, even though they had a franchise quarterback. Like saying outright they wanted a top tier backup made more sense than like a team like this saying we want him to be your heir apparent. Because that's probably not going to happen at all. At least the Eagles' intent was not to have Hurts be the guy. So even the Eagles, honestly, as much as I hated the pick, they were probably more in the right to take Hurts than these teams are to do this. Because like their intent is to do something that, or their reason for picking these guys is probably because of something they'll never actually do. Like their intent here,
it's Kevin Cobb.
Yeah, like their process here, their thinking is he'll be the heir apparent, but you're likely never going to follow up on that plan. Mm-hmm. Whereas the Eagles, at least, like they had a plan that was feasible.
Yeah, and I believe Jalen Hurts is a much easier quarterback to build an offense.
Did I just defend the Jalen Hurts pick? Wow.
Yeah, I think we're kind of switching.
We're kind of there at the night.
Jalen Hurts, I think. But no, honestly, I mean, at the end of the day, we both want the team to succeed, and it ultimately comes around building a team for Jalen Hurts. And you look at it right now, you bring in all these athletic weapons, and you could play 11-on-11 ball. Like, think about when you just do like a sprint right option, when you have the option of Jalen Hurts keeping the ball, and now you have a trips set to the right with Devonta Smith, Quez Watkins, Jalen Reagor. I mean, who are you going to defend? They're going to be so quick, and just it's going to be simple. I think it's going to be a simple offense. So I think that's ultimately what it'll come down to is building this offense out for a quarterback that is different than what Coach Sirianni has seen in the past, but he is the guy to do it because he's seen multiple quarterbacks in that type of offense.
Do we have a trade?
Offense before.
Mark Schaefer says Eagles trade. Is that correct?
If they move up, it's got to be for Ifatu. It has to be. Or no, they move back.
Oh, they moved back.
They moved back. All right, we're staying on, brother.
We
got the book out, Lou. Time to evaluate some trades, brother. Let's see what it is. Let's see. I had a very good hunch feeling that they would move back here simply because they had it in the first two. They were going to get at least 11 picks in this class. There was no way they weren't. For 73 and 191, Lou,
I mean, there are a lot of options from the board still here to move down. Wait, so what did they trade?
So they gave up 70.
They only traded back 3 spots to 73,
which is worth 847. They got 73, which is 826. So that's a difference of 21 points. And they added 191, which is worth 338. So they won that trade. I'll take that.
The board is strong. Moving down 3 spots and collecting an extra
Davis
pick
Mills. What is happening?
The run on quarterback. I'm cool with this.
Ooh, what is happening here?
Teams are. I think this is dumb. It doesn't make sense. I don't take a quarterback unless it's for a backup. Yeah, so the Eagles have traded the 70th pick for the 73rd pick and 191, which is in the 6th round. I like the board, enough how deep it is that moving down 3 spots is fine.
Yeah, I think they want to get some more ammo for tomorrow to be in striking range from round 4 after they make that pick at 123 because they have a huge gap there. They want to be in that area that if they see guys fall into that 160, 180 range, I think they're going to be in a good striking range now with some more picks to do that. And for 191, sorry, I'm just putting the tweet out for 338.
Yep.
For 191. All right, let's get the calculator out. You got a calculator right there, Lou?
Yeah, 1 sec.
All right, since you did it yesterday, we'll keep it going.
Yeah.
All right, ready?
All right, I'm ready. Yep.
Okay, so do 826.
Yep.
Plus 338.
Yep.
Minus 847.
317.
317. So they gain the equivalent of the 199th pick. Not bad. I'll take it for moving back 3 spots with a board that still is sitting in your favor.
Let's fill in Janik from Denmark. Janik, the Eagles have traded down from the 70th pick to pick 73, and they collect 191 overall, which is an extra 6th-round pick. And I agree with Zach here. Again, good board, good trade back. There's 5, 6, 7 guys that I really like here for 70. Kind of wish, honestly, they still had 84, Gino. Obviously, I'd rather have Devontae Smith, but there's a bunch of guys I like here, so you could have came away with 2 good third-round picks, but again, I'm not going to complain for what they did.
No, I like that. I want to have enough ammunition for tomorrow, Lou, or even today, because you're at 73. You have 27 picks before that round ends. I think they might be in striking range to come back in there.
Yeah, absolutely. Who's the pick here? Jalen Mayfield?
Yep.
Defensive, or is that another tackle? Today has been mostly offensive linemen and quarterbacks.
Yes, which is good, Lou. I mean,
yeah.
You look at the Landon Dickerson pick, like at the time it was like, okay, what is on the board? A lot of picks that would have been nice for us, like Asante and JOK, you see where they go. But in the grand scheme of things, how this team builds out their team is through the offense and defensive line. And they knew that there was going to be a run before that they could get into striking range, because if they're sitting at 70, Lou, and they miss out on all these guys, I mean, you're reaching.
Right.
I wouldn't mind a Quinn Meinerz there, but I really do believe in Mike K on Twitter said he was talking to someone that's a talent evaluator, and he had said that if healthy, Landon Dickerson is a top 20 pick all day long. So it just goes to show that he was high on their board. I mean, you take out the medical questions, which is kind of against the grain of what they did last year. You kind of make an exception to a player like Landon Dickerson, which fills the need. Now, he could potentially start for you if Brandon Brooks isn't fully healthy or Isaac goes down. Jason Kelsey's going to retire. You kind of keep the gears going there. You keep the oil in the car and you keep things moving. I think that's a great pick. And looking at it now, as opposed to what has happened here in the last couple picks, very smart.
Yeah, I'm Gino. I was concerned early yesterday that this team was going backwards when it came to their offensive philosophy. I didn't know if they're going to be able to team that could throw the football long term or defend the football being thrown through the air with their cornerback situation, which is still kind of the spot here. But getting to see them take a receiver and then a lineman, I'm like, okay, they're still building around quarterbacks. They still know what it takes to win, and so I'm enthused with what they've done here based on what they still believe in. And they have 8 picks still to go. So as Caesar says, so they've got ammo. And again, this is a long-term rebuild, like they said. So I think they're okay with maybe not getting their CV1 of the future in this class because they're not planning on winning a Super Bowl next year. Joseph Osai goes there from Texas, the edge rusher to Cincinnati.
4 Carolina's picks now, Lou.
Yeah.
That's
so the Eagles are that's a lot. The Eagles are now available on the clock in 3 spots because they traded down from 70 to 73. The Panthers are on the clock.
There, baby.
Gino, did you like the Panthers pick of Terrace Marshall?
I don't mind it because of Joe Brady.
Yeah. I like
really
their offense
again.
It.
Like, as soon as I saw Carolina, Terrace Marshall, I'm like, damn,
every
Joe
time
Brady
they get rid of one of my guys, man.
Of that general manager, that's for sure.
Every time they get rid of one of my guys, Cam, Teddy, Curtis Samuel, they drag me back in with something I like every time. I can't get rid of Carolina.
What
can't
about
shake
the
them.
Cardinals drafting Rondale?
I love it. We were all laughing in here because we're like, I don't want them to be my team, but they're a Sunday ticket team is what I call them. Like I'm tuning in. They're probably only going to win still 9-10 games, but they're going to score 30 plus every day. I don't even think they're going to run the ball. Gino, Rondale Moore is probably going to. Yeah.
That's all right. Looking good, Lou. We're looking good here. But they're a team that I am going to, bet the overs quite frequently for.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you figure they've got A.J. Green, Christian Kirk, and DeAndre Hopkins.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, Rondale Moore, he played a lot in the backfield at Purdue. They might just elect to never run the football and just use Rondale in the backfield.
They're just going to run empty sets until –
I love it. Like, Cliff Kingsbury is just very committed to this philosophy. I mean, they took Andy Isabella in the 3rd round, Hakeem Butler in the 4th.
Andy Isabella could be on the trade block, Lou.
Yeah. The Eagles kind of have a bunch of Andy Isabellas, though, right? Hightower, Quez. Add another, though. I'm cool with that.
So we pick in the 6th round 189, 191, 224, 225. They're going to use those picks to trade up. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so another lineman went there to Carolina. So 2 spots left, and Ifeatu Melifonwu is still on the board, Gino.
If they can manage to get one Syracuse defensive back, I'll be totally okay. I think edge rusher is totally in the equation here. I think the gentleman that you mentioned, your 2 friends out of Florida State there, and what was the other one? UAB, if I'm not mistaken.
Jordan Smith from UAB, yeah.
Yep, both of those guys.
Hamilcar Rashid Jr., I'm good.
Yep.
Hamza, though, I'm very intrigued by Hamza Nasruddin at this pick. That's a lot of fun.
I'm not saying safety anymore.
I know. I kept saying you've been spurned too many times.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, why am I going to keep putting it into the universe if it's doing the opposite? I'm just not even going to say it.
Yeah.
But I would be very good with that pick. I think the Giants here, they have a chance to go corner, which frightens me. That it could be our guy. I'm not going to say it. Don't want to jinx it. Detroit also could be that pick. But
yeah. I like also, though, there's multiple corners still.
Offense.
Is Aaron Robinson gone yet?
I don't think so.
I know Paulson Adebo is still on the board, so
yes.
I'm kind of good with whatever they do. The board fell pretty well.
It's been a run on offensive linemen
and quarterbacks.
Right?
Yeah.
What is the second run to come here outside of those positions? That's what I think. That's when we start here with the Giants, unless they address their offensive line, which I'm not 100% that they do here. We'll see.
The Giants' pick is in. I'll be right back. Right before the Eagles pick. Give me 1 minute.
Sure. NFL Network is a little behind here on the trades. Still says the Eagles are picking 70, which hasn't been happening in about 5 minutes, which is crazy that if you're on Twitter, I stay off of Twitter now because I've had maybe 3 picks ruin this draft, which isn't bad. I'd say last year I had a majority of them ruined because I was on Twitter all the time. Stay off of Twitter, but the picks come in so much sooner than you see them on TV. I mean, the process is insane. They get the call, it has to go to the NFL, then they call the prospect. It's probably 10 to 15 minutes before the pick actually happens that they know what is going on. We're just sitting here waiting for things to happen, just time after time after time. I was just saying how soon these picks happen and how long it is before we actually find out. It's 10 to 15 minutes after it happens. We're sitting here what is going on? All right, Giants are picking here.
Somebody in the chat was like, I'm sorry, I keep tipping picks. I'm like, it doesn't matter to me. The first round matters, but at this point, it's such a lengthy process. I want to just know picks at this point.
All right, Lou, did you see that pick?
No, just tell me what it is.
I want you to see it.
Okay.
Every time you say it, I tell
know.
you got to see it for a reason.
I shouldn't, yeah.
You literally just said his name.
Yeah. Yeah, right. That's cool, though. I mean, I like Paulson Adebo better anyway.
Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions pick is in, and the Eagles are on the clock. I think if it isn't Ifeatu here to Detroit, that Ifeatu Melifonwu will be a Philadelphia Eagle, and I will be ecstatic.
I'm in on that. I like Surratt and Cox at linebacker. I like edge.
Hamza Nasruddin.
Is there something out of left field we're not expecting or we're not looking at? Maybe not the position, but the prospect.
Double up at wide receiver, maybe. I don't see it happening, but
yeah. Well, Robinson fell. I guess that teams were just nervous about guys that were just going to be in the slot. I think that's not fair for Asante, but I think that's part of why he fell.
Here we go, Lou. Here we go, Lou.
Let's see what this pick is.
The Detroit Lions select
Okay, defensive
that's
tackle.
a little rich for my blood on Aleem McNeil, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
This is such a bad interior class, too.
It's awful.
You could have got Aleem McNeil on day 3 for sure. There's been some questionable picks today, though, Lou.
Yeah, I agree. There's been, the quarterbacks kind of represent that. I can't believe all those guys went in that bunch.
Early, dude.
All right, so we've gone receiver. The Eagles are on the clock here at 73 overall.
Pick is in for the Eagles, Lou.
And Landon Dickerson at center. Final answer: Ifeatu Melifonwu.
Lou, the pick is in. I won't.
Do you want Is Ifeatu your guy? Is that who you want? I think my guy's Hamza Nasruddin.
I won't say nothing. Don't worry.
Probably be somebody I've never heard of before. We'll see. Go Birds, people. We're going to do a recap podcast tonight after the picks. So be sure to subscribe to Locked On Eagles wherever you get your shows. This should be the last pick of the night, but who knows? They could try to trade back in. We'll see after this pick. Cheers, everybody. I'm going to mute myself. Okay.
Milton Williams.
Milton Williams, the Louisiana Tech defensive lineman. He's listed as a DT on ESPN. Gino, is he more of an edge here? Is he more of a defensive tackle?
That's what I'm trying to figure out here is exactly where they're listing him. A lot of places have him as an interior defensive lineman, Lou. This is what we talk about, what they like at edge. How many times have we talked about it? But they get this freak athlete. Milton Williams' athleticism is through the roof. And they have a guy who can play inside, play outside, 10-plus sacks last year. I think this is a pick it's kind of a home run for me because you're addressing both the interior and the exterior of the defensive line. Milton Williams, Lou, I really kind of like this pick a lot, man. Like a lot.
The Eagles take linemen, people. Again, we want corner, we want linebacker and safety and receiver, and they got you the receiver in round 1, but this is what this team's philosophy is. So although I as a GM would not be making these picks, it's what they do. And so even though it's not our preference, it's hard to say this is the wrong pick and, you shouldn't feel this way because this is the way teams should try to build their team.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think that name honestly did not come to my mind at all. Like when I was thinking of the top 10, 15 prospects on the board, but he's versatile, Gino. When you look at Charles Menahue a couple years ago, we really wanted somebody that could play
9.96 relative athleticism score. Lou, you want to hear his numbers? 60-30 in height, 284 in weight. See that? You look at that number right there. That's interior, exterior type of guy. 34 reps on the bench, Lou. 34 reps. 385 vertical. That's insane. 38.5 inches for an edge rusher. Oh my goodness. 1.001 broad. 4.67 40. 20-yard split. 2.65. 10-yard. 1.65 shuttle. 4.33. 6.96 3-cone. You're getting an athlete at the edge rusher position. We are moving away from the high motor guys, Lou. We're moving to athletes there.
I'm cool with that. At least, look, if you're going to take a lineman,
I love it.
Yeah, if you're going to take a lineman, at least go with that style of player.
Yeah.
So that's okay with me that you're not going for a high floor, high motor type of guy. I love this comment. Not what I thought they'd do, but I don't hate it, honestly. I feel like that's like the theme of today for the Eagles. And that means they're taking linemen. Not what I would do, but I don't hate it like that. Okay, fine. You got to do that. Again, Gino, I compared it to a baked potato earlier. It's like what you're excited about is the sour cream and the bacon bits and the cheese and the chives, but you need the potato to get all that stuff, or else it's useless. No one's excited to eat the potato. You're excited about everything you're going to put on it, and so it's the meat and potatoes, man. And that's kind of what this is. Again, that's the theme of day 2, and that's the theme of kind of the Eagles' backbone. And it's not a bad thing for sure. You do need it. So I'm not gonna, although it's not flashy and it's not really that fun. It's a good pick.
Dude, I love it. I say that interior and edge are my 2 favorite positions outside of safety on the defensive side of the ball to evaluate. When you have a guy that can play 3-tech or 5-tech, it now opens up the versatility to what you can do with this player. He also has the length to drop out into spot zone coverages, those fire zones where he's in there. Remember when Brandon Graham was a outside linebacker and you'd see him dropping 3-4 yards into coverage? Yeah, Milton Williams can do that. And his arms are through the roof. The kid can actually put his arms up there, swat those balls. You're now moving away from the Derek Barnett's, the Brandon Grahams, the Josh Sweats, and the Milton Williams. When that's coming at you on the edge and you have that interior pressure where you can shuffle those guys around, your new NASCAR package, Lou, is Fletcher Cox, Milton Williams, Josh Sweat, and Brandon Graham. I'm totally on board with that.
I like what Zach Meyer said here. Trying to emulate Kelsey and Cox for a new generation makes some sense. I mean, yeah, this team won a championship in 2017. A huge reason for that was because of the offensive line and the defensive line. So they needed receiver badly, and they got one, and they need corner help bad and linebacker and safety. But they also, on the lines, do have potential holes long-term, and now you have a better chance of not having those holes. And that's the thing, Gino, is like corner, safety, linebacker, there's bigger, immediate, and long-term needs. But I think this team would rather have holes there than on your offense. They'd rather have their ass covered.
This was a BPA pick for sure.
And part of my French, but they'd rather have their ass covered on the lines and make sure they're good there than, even if they have more pieces right now there up front, which they do, they'd rather be covered there. And it's understandable, absolutely. I like what Zach said right here. 5 DBs in round 5 and 6. It's our only hope. Oh, no, wait, sorry.
Talk about what guys
wrong
you can
comment
get out there, dude. Like Rashad
I like this one.
Ambry Thomas.
Yeah. I like this one. He says, we don't need all these day 3 picks. Please trade back up for a corner. That's the thing, Gino. You still have, 7 picks?
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to go get Ifeatu or Paulson Adebo, that I'm okay with that.
Totally on board with that, man. Like, I totally believe that we're not done here tonight. You better stay tuned because there's a very good chance that they could be back up in this round.
All right, Gino, you have some videos to record, my friend, so we'll let you go. Everybody stay tuned. We're going to be doing a reaction podcast at the end of day 2. We're going to react to the Landon Dickerson pick, the Milton Williams pick as well. The defensive tackle in the center, the Eagles selected today. They went in the trenches. We will recap that for you later on your daily Philadelphia Eagles podcast, Locked on Eagles. Gino, thanks, man, for tuning in, my brother.
Yeah, if they come back, I'll be back. But
absolutely.
On Lockdown now, I'll be there.
All right, sounds good.
Fly, Eagles, fly.
Fly, Eagles, fly. The Eagles select Milton Williams, the defensive lineman from Louisiana Tech, at pick 73. If you guys are disappointed, you're in the right to feel that way. Even if you feel like it's a good pick. This is what I said yesterday, because Gino is more the scout and the X's and O's analytical guy, and so he's always going to love a pick like this. And I, as somebody that has seen what works in football and what worked for the Eagles winning a championship, understand the pick. But you guys are, even if you recognize that too, you're allowed to feel disappointed. Don't feel like you don't know football because you're upset with the pick. Like, even though it's a necessity, again, like, you need to eat. But if meatloaf is what's on the table, I mean, you got to have it. But, I mean, who's ever excited about meatloaf? I'm trying to make as many food analogies as I can. But, it's just it's a pick that's not sexy, but it is a necessity. And there were bigger necessities here. So, again, it wouldn't be my top choice. I think there was a lot of good safeties, linebackers, and corners there that you could really use. But, I think the Eagles would rather be covered short-term and long-term in the trenches. And you have that now with Dickerson. You have that with Milton Williams as well. So now you look at it and it's like, if you don't re-sign Derek Barnett next year, if Brandon Graham retires in a couple years, if Josh Sweat shows he can't really be a full-time defensive end starter, if he shows he can only be a rotational guy because of health, then you need pieces like Milton Williams. You're better covered right now up front on both sides. But again, they would, even though there's like a better chance of having holes at those other spots, they don't care. They'd rather be covered in the trenches. And that's okay because you've seen this team be able to elevate other problems when you cover up, I should say, mask other problems when you have those positions covered. And so again, like today it wasn't a disappointment for me, but it also wasn't what I wanted. So we're kind of in that middle. It was again we got the sexy pick yesterday, and today is okay, you got your candy, like you're gonna get dessert, but you gotta have your dinner first. And so today was it's kind of reverse. We got to eat ice cream first, but mom and dad said, all right, if I let you have this piece of candy, of this cookie, you got to make sure you still eat your dinner or the other parent's going to be mad at you. And that's what today felt like. It's like we got our fun yesterday, but we promised our team, the Eagles, that we'd let them go do the necessities now. And so that's kind of what it feels like today, taking the alignment for sure. Thanks, Janik, for tuning in from Denmark. We had people from Brazil in here, from Canada, from the United Kingdom, across the U.S. in Seattle and Los Angeles and Texas. We appreciate all you guys tuning in as you guys hung out with us on day 3 tomorrow, starting early in the afternoon. We'll be live again, and we're going to have podcasts and written stuff for Fox 43. Gino right now is recording a Locked On Now. You can find on our Twitter at Locked On Birds, and his Twitter account's at GC24_football. I've got written content coming up for Fox 43. A ton of draft content for you guys right here on Locked On Eagles. Thanks again, everybody, for hanging out. I had so much fun just, having a beer and talking to you guys across the country and the world about the Birds. It's a dream come true that I get to do this and Gino gets to do this. And so you guys make it possible. And thanks for hanging out. It's just me in my apartment, so got to watch the draft with my Eagles fam. So we'll see you guys later on the podcast. Again, subscribe on any platform, and we'll get back into this Landon Dickerson pick and Milton Williams, the center from Alabama and the defensive lineman from Louisiana Tech. As always, thank you for viewing. Let's go, Birds. Fly, Eagles, fly.